Hello, class. Thank you for those of you who've already made your initial post this week. I can tell you it is so nice hopping on a Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday and actually having something to read. Those of you who wait till Sunday, it is so hard because all the posts are coming in so fast that it's hard to read them all. So I encourage all of you to start your week early and make your posts as soon as you can. Now, you have been talking about arrays for the last couple of days, and we've been talking about the very basic aspects of them. However, I am not here just to teach you the basics. I'm here to push you so that way when you get to your first job interview, you can nail it and get that high paying job. So this week, let's take an advanced deep dive into arrays so that way you can be that expert that people are going to want to hire, who's also lazy. All right, so if you remember earlier in the week, we had this application that I wrote for you where we declared one array which was going to hold 5 different string values. And what we did here is we wrote this out 5 different times and we stored all 5 different values in there, and then we output it to the screen every single one of those values. I'm here to tell you there's a lazier way to do this in which we can make this application cooler, even better, but with far fewer lines of code. So, first thing I want to do is delete all these lines of code because that was just way too much work and I don't want to do that again. What I'm going to do this week is write a for loop. So I'm going to use a for loop to actually populate all of this for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say for int I equals 0 as long as I is less than 5. And remember, because this array holds 5 values and we start off at 0, so that's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 will be less than 5. If you do I is less than or equal to 5, you're going to get an error in your challenge activities. So we're going to say I equals I plus 1. That's going to do our looping. Now, in Zybooks, you would write put, and then you would say what is family member, and then you'd write like to output. But we are not in Zybooks, we are in C# here because I want to expose you to a real application that you might use in your next class. So I'm going to write console.writeLine. You guys are going to be way ahead of the game in the next class because you guys already know how to do this. So I'm going to say what is the name of family member, and then we'll do plus I. Oops, I. So what is the name of family member I? Because remember, this is going to loop. It's going to start off at 0, so it's going to say what is the name of family member 0. On the next thing, when it does the I plus 1, it's going to say what is the name of family member, then it'll do 1, and then so forth. So, having said that, we are going to do family members, and we're going to say the first one, nope, we don't want to do a fixed value here. We want to do a variable because it's going to start off at I. So rather than write in 0, I'm just going to do the variable here. This is the trick. This is the whole advanced topic of the video I wanted to show you here, and I'm just brushing through it fastly. But I'm going to say that equals console.readline. Now remember, in C#, this is the equivalent of in Zybook saying get next input. All I'm saying is just read whatever they typed on that next line within that console window because this is a console application. So that's it. I'm going to run this. So for I equals 0, because I is going to get incremented and have a value, this is really it. I'm using a for loop, and then in my array, rather than actually hard coding 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm just going to put the I inside of here so that way as the for loop iterates, it'll actually step through that. So if I hit play, I can run this. What is the name of family member 0? I'm going to put David. What is the name of family member 1? Alicia, Haley, Ethan. It's actually Ethan's birthday tomorrow. And then Eli. Boom. Actually, let's see. Yep. So after it asked me all those questions, David, Alicia, Haley, Ethan, Eli, it did exactly what I expected it to. So let's actually clean this up. So rather than writing these 5 lines of code here, I could do another for loop. Now remember, I'm lazy, so I'm going to copy and paste this here. And you can do this in Zybooks too. If you ever find yourself in a challenge activity where you do one for loop to do all the get next inputs, you can do a copy paste here, and so that way you can use that same for loop to output all the values. So I don't need to output a question here, so I'm going to delete this line. Okay, so here's where I loop over. In every loop I ask the question, what's the name, and then I store it in here. And then all I'm doing here is saying, oops, let me clean that up. Good thing I read it. Console.writeLine, and boom. What am I actually going to output? That value there. So let's run that, see if it works. What is the name of family member 0? So I'm going to do David, Alicia, Haley, Ethan, Eli, and then boom, just like that, it went through my for loop. It looped over every value in that array and then outputted them all to the screen. Let's step through it. Step through it means I'm going to drop a breakpoint here, and then I'm going to be able to hit F11 to go to each computer statement within sequence, one after another. So I'm going to hit play, for real this time. Now, the application, it was kind enough to go ahead and declare this family members array. If I mouse over here, I can see it's all null. Now, remember what we talked about last week? For loop's going to start by setting I equals 0. It's going to check the condition, so it's not always going to run. It's going to still do like what a while loop does, check the condition first. So is I less than 5? It is, because I is 0, so 0 is less than 5, so that's true. So it's going to go in here. It's going to output to the screen. What is the name of family member? It's going to give me the option here to type it in. I'm going to type in David, and I'm going to hit enter. It's going to take what I typed in and it's going to store it in here. And to prove that it did so, I'm going to mouse over family members. If I drop down, I can see the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I can see the first value there, David, is filled in. So I keep going, and it adds 1 to I. Now is I less than 5? I now equals 1. 1 is still less than 5, so that means it's going to go in here. Now, when it gets to this line of code, remember, I has the value of 1. So if you remember in the last video, we talked here about how you have the 5 different spots in the array, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because of some guy we don't know who we hate who made this real complicated for us, it starts off as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. In our for loop, we're not actually writing 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're just putting an I in here so that way we can refer to it via that variable. So if I were to loop through here, it would just keep going. So I'm going to say, what is the name of family member 1? I'm going to say Alicia, enter, and then it's going to keep going through this for loop. So I'm going to say Haley, Hailey, enter. I keep going. Ethan, enter. Oops. So now I come back over here, F11. It checks the condition. I is 4. 4 is still less than 5. And if I look at my family members array, I have almost all of them filled in except for the last one, which I'm going to get right here. So I'm going to type in Eli. I hit enter. Now I come back over here and I hit F11 again. It adds 1. It checks the condition. I now equals 5. 5 is not less than 5. So it's going to exit out of the loop. It's going to write to the line these series of dashes to make this readable. Now I'm going to go into this for loop. And I'm basically doing the loop again. I resets back to 0. So 0 is less than 5 is true. So it's going to console.writeLine to the screen, which basically in Zybooks is put whatever the value I have in that particular index of that array to output. So if I do that, and I come over here and look at it, I can see now it actually wrote to the screen David. So if I keep hitting F11, it's going to add 1 to I. I is now 1. 1 is still less than 5. It goes in here, writes that to the screen. And if I go look at it now, I can see Alicia. Let's see if I can make it to where you can see both of these at the same time. If I take this and this, get rid of this guy. Boom. So now, When I execute this line over here, it's going to pop up Haley. Keeps going. I see that line. Now I see Ethan, it wrote. Goes over here. I see Eli. Now it goes back up. Checks the condition. I is 5. 5 is not less than 5 because 5 is equal to 5. So that's false. And it breaks out of the loop. My program ends. So that was an advanced topic. If you could follow along with that, then pat yourself on the back because you could actually say that you can do anything in this class. Yes, we're going to spend the next 2 weeks after this talking about functions. Functions are going to be, you like them. They're not going to be that hard. Doing an array and a for loop, it's kind of hard to wrap your mind around it. A function will be easy. I'll help you get through it. But pat yourself on the back. You can say that you now know almost everything there is to get through this class. But if you still get stuck, I'm here to help. Just reach out to me. Let me know how I can help. Take care.